Again, thank you. Thank you everybody for coming. Like great turnout today. I see over 200 people in the room. So thank you for coming. My name is Eric Hackman. I'm the Director of Customer Success and Support here at CubiCasa, actually located here in the Twin Cities, as is Amber Ingleby from my team, who will be joining us in the Q&A section today. So want to encourage everybody to pop questions in there. We will, between answering them live with Amber or excuse me, with myself at about the midway point, and we'll make time at the end. Amber will also answer questions in the Q&A. So please use that if you have anything. And then keep your eye out for posts in the chat. There's some links that Amber's going to share that I think will be of interest to you as far as our YouTube channel goes, some articles we've written about CubiCasa accuracy, device eligibility. So keep a lookout for content within those two boxes, and please fire away questions. Today is for you. We want everybody feeling comfortable to go out and try and do a CubiCasa scan, which I'm going to show you just how easy that actually is. So there is a QR code up in front of you here. This is going to take you to the same sign up and landing page that North Star MLS has on their dashboard. You can create your CubiCasa account credentials there. Through that sign up link, it'll actually pre-populate some of the partnership benefits as your affiliation with North Star MLS will afford you. And process is really easy. It's free to download the app as well. So if you haven't already created credentials, you can use that QR code there, and we'll show that at the end as well. All right, good deal. So let's get started here and let's talk about floor plans in general. And just to give you some idea about what, drove CubiCasa to come to the US and, you know, bring a tool and technology to the real estate market that I think was kind of desperately needed based on some of the information that we were seeing. NAR does an annual buyers and sellers survey where they list out the top most important or helpful features within a listing that the consumer finds to help make a better educated buying decision. Number one, to no real surprise there, pictures. Number two and number three might surprise you though. And number two and number three essentially have kind of flip-flopped throughout the past 14 years as far as their ranking goes. But um, general description and property characteristics would be two or three, and then floor plans. So we know there's a consumer demand for it based on the survey statistics. And if you think about it, floor plans at a glance give you more information about a property uh, than any other digital media assets, right? More at a glance than you can understand and figure out through scrolling through 50 or 60 photos. Virtual tours can be a little challenging for some to navigate, slow, and but at a glance, as far as digital assets go, you get more information about a subject property. You think about the utility and the flow of the house, general characteristics, room dimensional data. Is your furniture going to fit? Who's going in which room? And then, I'll talk a little bit about, the value to using floor plans on the buyer side. But if you think about if your customer is planning any kind of renovations, or is considering making adjustment to what the layout of the property looks like, having that content, that floor plan image allows them to, easily visualize what it is they either want to change or do as far as engaging with a contractor and doing renovations. So giving them a jump start on that conversation, which I know the contractor will appreciate, especially being able to provide somebody with some information to give more accurate quotes, right? If they truly know what the actual size of the property is. So a lot of value, a lot of different ways that can be utilized. And then there's listing performance improvements that come with adding this type of content to your listing media. I don't know if you're familiar with a company called REST VAI, but they had done a number of like concentrated studies and wrote a white paper on the impacts to average days on market and with listings that use floor plans or contain floor plans or interactive floor plans versus those that don't. And the markets that they researched, they were showing that the average days on market were less. So again, like it's providing, the consumers with more information to help make a better educated buying decision, right? Which is going to ultimately save people time. But there's some other statistics there you can see that just again are helping improve the performance of your listings. And it's such an easy process as far as capturing these floor plans. And we're going to show you a little bit about how you do that and why this is worth a couple of minutes of your time that it takes to actually produce one of these things. So, I mentioned a lot about the listing side, but on the buy side, this is a really, really simple way to add value at almost no cost. We do have a free option that we'll talk about with your partnership benefits. But think about, if you're doing a walkthrough with your customer and they seem genuinely interested, it takes a couple of minutes to do a pass through with the app. Give them another piece of information to help make them make a better buying decision, right? If they do end up putting in an offer and it gets accepted, I told you about, if they're thinking about renovations, they're going to have a jump start on that conversation, or at least can visualize what it is they want to do. But it helps them to start planning their move, right? They can think about who's going where, is the furniture going to fit? Do they need new furniture? But we've got a product called our CubiCasa Plus product, but it allows you to brand floor plans. So think about, I know some agents give their customers like a gift when they buy a house and move into a new property. This is another great thing to add in the information that you give to them when you pass off the documents for that purchase. This is a piece of information that they're going to keep and look at over the course of the time that they're living in that property for do-it-yourself projects, right? If you're thinking about, painting rooms and have a general idea of what, how much paint you need, or if you're going to replace the floorings or the carpet, uh, this doc they're going to look at over the course of time that they live in that property, and you can brand it, right? So put your logo, put your company name on there. It's just a simple way to, stay engaged with your customers. But, we're always looking for additional ways to add value on the buy side, and this is a really simple and affordable way to do that. All right. So we talked about the value. We talked about why the consumers are interested in this. Let's talk about what CubiCasa actually is. So we are a mobile scanning technology, an app-based scanning technology that is available in both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. So we can be downloaded and used on Android capable devices and Apple devices. So if you think about what devices would be eligible and capable of utilizing the CubiCasa technology in iPhone generations, I think this might help give some perspective, but like back all the way back to the iPhone 8. So that's around 8 to 10 years. So pretty much, any Apple iPhone built in the last 8 to 10 years is going to work. And then Android devices, there's a number of different manufacturers of Android devices. The age range usually is about 8, 9, somewhat up to 10 years back as far as when your device was built. If it has the technology that our app leverages, we use the augmented reality core as part of our process in the scan capture, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. But about 8 to 10 years. Amber will pop a link to an article in the chat here that will take you to our website, and it gives you a list of eligible devices that you can download the app on. But basically, anything built in the last 8 to 10 years will work. And the process is simple as what you see here. You download the app, and I'll show you step by step here in a second. But confirm the address of the property you're at. Start scanning. You're going to hold the device about chest high. We like to see a very slight tilt down, not pointed down, but just a very slight tilt down. If we capture a little bit of where the floorboard meets the floor, that's ideal. And then we walk parallel with the wall. We don't point directly at the wall. So that's the most important thing as far as like technique goes. We walk along with the wall about chest high, and it's capturing all of that space in front of you and around you, and a little bit of where the floorboard meets the floor. And I'm going to show you here in a second. This house doesn't have to be vacant or clean. Like we see past clutter, we see past the furniture. You're not going to have to prep the home in order to have a successful a scan. You'll realize that it's pretty hard to mess this up, and I'll show you why. But I want to make sure that everybody on this call knows that you do not have to be tech savvy for this to work at all. The app's intuitive, gives you real-time feedback if you're doing like something that could potentially jeopardize the accuracy. or impact the quality of the scan, like moving too fast per se, or if you're pointed straight up for some reason and it's confusing, the app, it will tell you to stop doing it. So it's very easy to correct bad behavior. You can take as long as you want. There's no timer, but you'll see it's as simple as what is happening here. You're going to walk each room and scan all of the space within that room, from room to room, floor to floor. And the big piece is it's just do it all in one scan. We don't have a stop start function. Again, you don't have a time limit, so take as long as you want. There's no right or wrong to where you start or finish, just as long as you capture all of the space in the property, from room to room, floor to floor in one continuous scan. It's that easy. So let's take a little bit deeper dive into like what this looks like step by step. So after you've downloaded the app and you log in, you're going to see a prompt is this is going to be the first page you see, and you're going to start your scanning process. You're going to pick what type of home it is, right? So this is pretty easy stuff, but the reason why we care about this is because certain features, whether it's like a joined wall on a townhome or an apartment building, impact the way we measure the wall thickness, right? So, single family homes, we do take account wall thickness into our calculations and our algorithm. So that's why this question is important on this screen and why you see it. And the next part is basic address validation. If you have your geolocation services on, it's just like in Apple Maps or Google Maps. Um, it's going to present an address that it believes that you're at based on your geolocation. You either confirm or you type it in yourself, and then you're going to start the scanning process. These are just prompts that pop up for any new scanners. You can scan exterior spaces too, so keep that in mind, like porches, patios, four-season porches, detached garages, guest units, like casita, something like that. Again, if you want that on the floor plan image, capture everything in one continuous scan. So do everything in the main structure and then go step outside and get those exterior spaces or that detached garage. What I want to encourage you to do is just try to get to all four corners of the rooms that you scan, right? Don't go in the middle of the room and like pirouette around in a circle. Walk the perimeter of the room. Like that's the biggest tip that I can give you. And I'm going to show you why that's important here in a minute, like the behind the scenes look at like what's happening when you do your floor plan capture, what's happening here at CubiCasa, what we use to calculate those square footage measurements. But again, you can do exterior spaces. Just make sure you do everything in one continuous scan. And then when you're finished, it's gonna look like this, right? So you're done scanning. It's gonna say hit send. You're going to answer a couple of questions. And this is basically just what product do you want? Do you want like our upgraded version? Do you want our 3D products? Do you want to use the free version, which is light right here at the bottom? You'll see the dollar amounts right next to it. So you pick which product you want. We've got our appraisal grade products. If you need to send us some additional information, you've got a little screen here to do that as well. But it's going to give you like your total, what rush, if you need a rush turnaround time, and then the upload process starts. So you're going to hit submit and send it to us. You'll see just, how far along it is as far as submitting the scan to CubiCasa, and you'll get confirmation that it's complete. So that is it, right? That's what it looks like visually, and we'll share these videos to you in addition to a link to like our our YouTube channel, CubiCasa's YouTube channel. I'm a visual learner, so that YouTube channel has a bunch of different, short, easy to watch videos. Whether you're learning about scanning technique or want to know more about our products, it's a great resource for those visual learners like myself if you want to find out more about the products. But we'll link that in the chat. But I want to give you some perspective on the level of complexity that this is capable of doing, right? So it doesn't just have to be a square box, easy cookie cutter home. Like, if any of you have ever measured circular walls, it is hard, right? I was in the appraisal industry for 15 years. It is not easy to do. This app absolutely simplifies that process. If you can see here, this is a very unique design. And even with that unique design, after we captured all of the interior space, you can see this room where this photo is taken from is, like a finished Four Seasons area. We scanned that. That's right here next to the pool area, you can see. But the user went outside and walked the stamped concrete patio that you can see here. I mean, it's very faint, but you can see it here in the picture. They walked around the perimeter of that, walked step by step, went into that guest unit, that casita, scanned the interior of that space, came back out, picked up the stamped concrete patio, and finished walking the perimeter of that, and then did a loop around the pool. And our team was able to draw all of that into the floor plan. So like they give you some perspective on the level of complexity that this is capable of handling. Like it's incredible. So if there are any appraisers on the call today, I know we had an appraiser webinar yesterday. This can make your life really easy. I mean, something like this would have probably taken 45 minutes to hand measure. It takes 5 to 10 minutes to scan and capture. So to give you some perspective on the level of complexity it's capable of. Hope that helps visualize it. But I want to talk now more about our partnership benefits with North Star that you get as a result of having an affiliation. So the app's free to download, and then at that point, the content that you're going to be able to produce, and we'll show you a visualization of the different options here, but I know everybody's interested in the free floor plan, and that's what our light floor plan is. It's a basic 2D black and white image like you see in front of you. It's going to include and pre-label all of the rooms for you. We do that for you. It'll give you the room dimensional data for those spaces. If you don't like that, you can turn it off with a click of a button. If you simply just want the 2D, like the floor layout to use as media, it's just a click, toggle a button on and off. But this is what the 2D floor plan, light free floor plan is. It's up to 5,000 square feet of, what you scan and we draw. So we use it, whether it's above grade or below grade, what you scan and want us to draw will be included in that calculation. So up to 5,000 square feet. If it goes over 5,000 square feet, we have like an oversized charge fee, and it's just to cover our production costs. But the overwhelming majority and the average scan size for nationally is well under that number. So um, up to 5,000 square feet. Again, you can toggle the dimensional data on or off. You don't even have to have a credit card on file to use the free floor plan. You'll have unlimited access to this each month through our affiliation. And again, this is practice with this free floor plan, right? Like I encourage everyone to try doing one of these on their own home, and you'll see how simple this is and get a sense of like how accurate it is as well. So it's a good floor plan to use for practice as you get familiar with the app, but unlimited access to that. And just to give you some perspective on like our pricing models, and we'll look a little bit more about the different products here. Like we don't have subscriptions. We don't have monthly minimum fees. Okay. Like we understand the volatility of like listing volume, especially when, in the winter months and people aren't moving or because rates are low, nobody's moving. Um, but we don't believe in locking you into subscriptions into a service that you end up getting upset with because you don't use it 1 month, but you're paying for it, right? So like our pricing model is about as consumer friendly as it gets. Um, Again, we've got the free option you have unlimited access to through our partnership with North Star, and then our product pricing, as you can see, especially not being subscription, is affordable and can fit any marketing budget, right? Um, our plus floor plan, I'm going to talk about the amount of content that you get for this price point, right? So our plus floor plan is our upgraded version of the light floor plan. So you can, as you can see here, it's colored. Like you've got the ability to customize the color schemes. So if you want to match it close to your brand colors, you can do that. You can change the different room colors. You can change the font on the room descriptions, and it's it's amazing. Like it even shows you which way the doors swing open, right? Like we identify all the fixtures. So whether it's an island or tub, shower, vanity, HVAC system, water heater, uh, range stove, like it will indicate all of that on the floor plan as well. And it will give you the ability to add the total square footage calculations. So if that's important to you, if you're using this to verify total square footage, which you should, don't rely on public records data or past listing data, do your customers a solid and validate that number yourself. This is a great way to do that. but the total square footage numbers are available on Plus, and then our GLA, our appraisal grade floor plan. So if you're looking for that feature, it's going to be there. Um, but Plus, like you get this great upgraded product, and this is overwhelmingly the majority of our customer product usage is the Plus floor plan. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that you also get our CubiCasa tour. So what our CubiCasa tour is, let's say you do your scan of your home, you get your floor plan back within 24 hours. That's all of our 2D floor plans are guaranteed within 24 hours. You'll get your notification that it's there. At that point, you log into your CubiCasa account and you can upload your photos. So the property of that floor plan was created for, upload your images. And it doesn't matter if you took them or if your photographer took them, you upload them to the floor plan. And this process takes like maybe 10 minutes to do. But at that point, like we look at those images and we run it in our model, and then the model is able to identify like where that picture was taken from on the floor plan and indicates it with one of these little green widgets that you see. So it's incredible. Like we'll give you this URL, a hosted URL, you put it in your virtual tour field, and then the consumer gets this full interactive experience that they can jump around with from those little green widgets or using the carousel, right? So it is a great way for a consumer to interact with your floor plan and to go specifically to a site within that floor plan and look and see exactly what that image is. Um, or use that photo carousel and it will bounce you around from, little green widget to widget, floor to floor. So this experience is included in the price of Plus. So not only do you get the upgraded floor plan, you get the CubiCasa Tour experience, which it takes almost no time to create. We don't charge anything extra for the to host the URL either. It's just included in the price. And it's just the same way as you were putting like a virtual tour into your listing and ad edit, right? You just throw that link into the virtual tour field, boom, done. Um, and the consumer experience is awesome. Like on mobile too, it looks really, really good. Um, and for those of you that aren't following CubiCasa, we have recently announced partnerships with Realtor.com and Redfin about 90 days ago. So if you have one of these tour experiences or our CubiCasa floor plans on your listing, when they're syndicated out to the portals, consumers are going to have an enhanced experience on their websites, which is awesome. Like they see the value in this. They see consumers gravitating towards the floor plan icons, and the click-through rates have been insane. Like this will improve your listing performance. Like the stats aren't lying. Consumers are spending on average a minute and a half in this tour experience. Um, and in the just clicking through it in general, like when they land on your listing and open up the link or to that property, they're going to the floor, like you got your first like the hero images and then the first like four preview windows of your pictures. They're gravitating towards like the floor plans. Um, we had a 1.8 million unique page views in the first 90 days of those partnerships. So like consumers are gravitating towards it, and you're going to have an enhanced experience on those sites. I doubt those would be the last partnership announcements that we make. No other on the horizons at the very moment, but um, consumers are gravitating towards these experiences and they're looking for them, right? And if you have it on your listing, it's gonna people are going to look at it longer and engage with it more than those without it, is at least what the data is telling us, right? So for $15, this upgraded floor plan and this CubiCasa tour experience, like I feel like that can fit any marketing budget, no matter what the sales price is. And again, no subscriptions, no monthly minimum fees. We have priced this for everybody and anybody. And then if you do have a little bit of a bigger marketing budget, our 3D products are pretty awesome. Gives you that dollhouse top-down view. We try to match the colors and textures as close to reality of what's inside the property as possible. Just less clutter, right? We'll try to match the furniture, but the textures and colors, everything we match as close to reality as possible. There are a number of other product add-ons that we're not going to dive into today, but with our partnership with North Star, we're hoping to come back and do kind of a series of CubiCasa content and webinars. Like the next one would be a deep dive into like how to customize your floor plans, or deep dive into the different product offerings. But we have a lot more, like CAD files. If you're working with interior designers, you can produce a CAD file from our scan. We have a virtual video walkthrough, like you can see here on the right side. That's another image of our 3D dollhouse, like 3D products. We do have rush options. We've got an appraisal grade floor plan. So for those of you that are using CubiCasa to validate square footage, I would absolutely recommend using the appraisal grade floor plan. It's going to be the biggest total square footage number for because it takes into account wall thickness in its calculations. So great way to validate square footage, which you should do, right? Like you shouldn't rely on public records data as being the source of truth, like they're historically inaccurate. Um, and everybody pretty much knows that, right? Um, don't rely on that. Validate it yourself. And if you do, use the GLA product, the appraisal grade products. It's going to give you that same measurement totals as if you were on the exterior of the home, even though you don't have to go trudge around in the snow like we do here in Minnesota. Awesome. We will talk more about the CubiCasa tour in our next webinar. But again, this takes 10 minutes to produce after you get your floor plan back, after you upload your pics. You can edit it yourself, but the consumers are loving this experience. And it's as simple as taking that link and just throwing it in your virtual tour field. Cool. So downloading your floor plan is simple. After, all of our 2D floor plans are delivered within 24 hours. You'll get an email notification. You simply just go into your dashboard, your CubiCasa dashboard, and you can download the files there on mobile, desktop, whichever is your preference. I would say the majority of people are downloading this image as a JPEG and then uploading that in the photo carousel, or if your platform has a dedicated floor plan field, adding it there. If those of you on this call are not using professional photographer services, but are interested in doing so, if you don't do your own media creation and collection, we have a network of our affiliated photographer partners across the state and here in the Twin Cities, a lot of resources, some of which are a part of our certified photographer program. And what that means is they include a floor plan on all of their base shoot packages. They don't charge extra for it. So if you don't do your own media capture, and if there's something to be said about professional media capture and collection, like the does have positive impacts on listing performance. Um, I mean, you don't have a dedicated resource, this is a great resource for you to use as far as a directory of those photographers, and gives you some perspective on how long they've been in the business and what their pricing looks like. It will even link to recent shoots they've done. So you can see the content that they have on recent listings that they've shot. So it's a great way to vet and connect with real estate photographers. But please utilize this. There's a link on our website, find a photographer that you can use. But we have a massive network of photographers across the country that are actively using our technology and offering our products. And if you need anything, and this is rare in my opinion, especially with a tech company, our tech support is awesome. This is part of my team. We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is rare, especially when there's a person, a human being on the other side of that connection. So, like when you reach out to us, you will eventually be talking to a person. We don't have a direct phone line, we have a chat, and there's a reason for that. Like if you're asking us to make changes to your product, we want a paper trail. I'm sure you can understand why, especially if we know, if there's appraisers using our product for like, lending purposes, right? If you're getting a home mortgage and there's an appraisal required, like we need a paper trail if people are asking us to make changes to that product. If you need to actually speak to us, we can pop a Google Meet link into that chat, but there's a reason why we keep everything and those initial conversations on paper. But we're very quick to respond, less than a minute, in email or chat. There's a little chat widget that's on the app. or on our website. It'll follow you around. It's in the lower left-hand corner. Just click on that, and one of our team. You'll even see the team members' names that are available and responding. How fast we are to help, and that's rare in the tech space. But we're super proud of our customer support and how well they perform and the feedback we get from our customers. I'm sure you'll have the same experience. All right, cool. What's next? Download the app. Um, Create your credentials. It takes less than a minute to do, and use this, right? Like you got a free option, we encourage everybody to try this and use it on your own home. Just get used to how the app feels, responds, how it works before you go out to a customer's house. I mean, you don't have to, but it's this great way to just get a better understanding of how it performs. Trying it on your own home, and you know that space, like you'll be able to quickly look at it and say if it's, how accurate you feel it is. Um, and again, I can't hammer this enough. Like you don't have to be tech savvy to do this and for it to work. It is really hard to break our app. I mean, you basically would have to like put your phone in your pocket and like not scan the property for it to fail. It doesn't matter if it's cluttered. That's okay. It sees past all of that. Um, it is so easy to do, and you will have an aha moment after you do your first scan because you think it won't work, like somebody's talking to you or stepped in the screen as you were doing the capture. That's okay. It doesn't impact the overall quality. Like it happens on almost every scan, so it's really hard to break it. And I know you will have good results. And like we want to hear about people's experience because people sharing that and sharing that aha moment, or when they get that first report back and look at it and they're like, man, this did work. This is accurate. This is super easy. Like those are the experiences we want you to share with other subscribers, and just reinforces what I'm telling you, and that is you don't have to be tech savvy for this to work. Like that's the whole reason. Like the premise of the app, what we built was its simplicity and ease of use, and that anybody should be able to pick up their phone and do it. Um, and I'm going to show you a little bit more. After we answer some questions, I'm going to show you a great video that I want everybody to like use and visualize when they're doing those scans on like why it's important to try to like walk to the corner each wall as opposed to just stepping in a room and spinning around, right? Like walking the perimeter of each room, floor to floor, and what's happening behind the scenes. I think people get excited to see this because it's like, how does this work? That was my first question. It's like, this is insane. How does this work? How is this so accurate? And I'm going to show you like what's being built up behind the scenes so that you have confidence in like what you're doing and understand the importance of like scanning technique and like going into deeper into a room, into a space, like what that's doing for you as far as benefits to your floor plan, because it just means more accuracy, right? The higher level accuracy based on the quality of the scan that's done. And I'll stop talking about it. I'll just show you here why it's important to do this. So this is what's happening behind the scenes, okay? And I'm going to slow it down just a bit so everybody can follow us at the pace that the video is going. So for perspective, lower left-hand corner is the technology sees, what the phone sees. The upper left-hand corner is just perspective. This is you. Let's imagine the upper left-hand corner is you, the scanner, and the on the right here, which doesn't look like much right now, but will turn into this information model, this BIM model that we create based on the scan capture. So I'm showing you this to demonstrate like like the importance of going like immersing yourself into the space and what happens as a result of like getting to all four corners. And then the other one is just validation, and not to call anybody out. This house is kind of a disaster with like furniture and piles of Legos everywhere. It looks like my house, honestly, but that it can see past clutter. And let's stop talking and show you here. So you can see this fully lived in home. Um, there's stuff everywhere. But if you're following me on the right side, like this, remember we started as nothing, but as you go into the space, deeper into the space, the more full this model becomes. So I'd like to have people like thinking about this as they're doing their scan, like this is happening behind the scenes. So you can see this model is getting more and more full, more clear, the deeper that the scanner goes into the space and into the property itself. So basically what it's doing, like this, I know it's faint to see, but there's a little red box at the beginning that's, kind of what's creating all of this model being full. That's you and the phone. Okay. So that's the phone. That little green trail is your walking path through the home. But what the technology does is essentially measures the depth and distance between you and the phone and like the walls and the space around you and the objects around you. So if you're wondering how we get the calculations, um, as you're doing your walkthrough, we're augmented reality. So we're leveraging the augmented reality core on your phone and measuring that depth and distance from your phone to like the walls, basically. That's the important number that we get. So through that scan capture, like it's basically constantly measuring that depth and distance from that walking path and that little red square as you go from room to room, floor to floor. So we then run that all those calculations that we get through an algorithm, and it's produces the total square footage data. And I'm butchering that from a technology perspective, but that's the easiest way for me to like break down what's happening. Like when I started, it was easier just to say like this, it's just magic how it works. Um, but it's incredible how accurate it is. And we've got a couple articles that we've written on our studies as far as like the overall accuracy based on I said different device types. Remember, like pro model iPhones, this three lenses, pro model iPhones have um, technology in it called LiDAR, and it is extremely accurate technology. It's the same technology in Teslas, like self-driving cars. So it's measuring the depth and distance between you and the objects in front and around you. Um, it's basically pinging little laser beams to and from the phone, and that's how it measures the depth and distance between those objects. Extremely accurate. If you have a pro model iPhone, you will get the most accurate results. As far as like our average studies show, anywhere from like 98, 99%. Uh, iPhones in general, uh, still all devices are accurate, but the pro model iPhones are extremely accurate. Um, Standard iPhones on iOS operating systems, it's anywhere between like 96 and 98%. Androids anywhere from 95 to like 97, 98%. But the stats you can see on the article that we'll share, um, they're all very accurate. And what you should think about this is if everybody on this call today did the same measurements on the same property, okay? We should all expect to come up with a little bit of a different number. And like that's exactly what these accuracy studies show us. Fannie Mae even like expect if two people were to go and measure the same home that there is going to be some level of variance. It's just a fact. It's going to happen on every single property. It's just the human element, and there's no perfect science in doing these calculations based on some obstructions that you may experience or just things in the way. So everyone should expect there to be a little bit of a variance, and the results that we have saw in our studies show exactly that, but an acceptable means of variance. So if you're expecting this to like nail exactly what public records data says, like that's never going to happen, right? Like there's always going to be a little bit off here and there. Um, Try to be careful about holding public records data as like the absolute source of truth, right? Because where did that number come from? It's very often that we get challenged on our total square footage numbers. And people say, well, public records data says, or the prior listing data says. Well, if that doesn't have a, a sketch of the house or any kind of explanation as to how that number was derived, like how can that be more accurate than anything else, whether you're a appraiser or you or CubiCasa does and provides a calculation. Like I would always say challenge why that number is more accurate. Well, yeah, they're getting taxed on it, but that doesn't mean it's right. This is a great tool to validate your tax assessed value. Think about that. If it's smaller than what the tax assessor says, if you go and challenge that, the first thing they're going to ask you for is, how did you come to your conclusions, right? And they're going to ask you for measurements, and you hand them that, like go lower your taxes, right? But what I'm just saying is challenge it. don't accept it. You owe your customer at least a validation of is that accurate or is it not? And if it's not, and you find that it's actually bigger, what a great thing to celebrate with a customer. Like, glad we did this because now your square footage is should be X. And, hopefully as a result of that, we're going to, get more money on the sale price, right? So just some things to think about, challenging the challenging the numbers that you get. And, I feel like there's a lot of compounding of bad data in the listings. Like a lot of people just pull in the same listing date, the last number from whenever the home was recently sold or last sold. And I don't know. I think you owe it to your customer to try to find if that's accurate or not, right? Um, and what a good thing to celebrate if it isn't, you know, just show like the lengths that you're willing to go for your customers. So, anyways, I hope that was helpful. I'm going to have one more video playing in the background while I answer some of your questions, but this is the most helpful video we have. We'll post this in the chat. This is, if you're going to watch anything, watch this one. This just gives you some perspective on how to approach a house in a scan of a home with a floor plan that looks like what you see here on the left. Keep in mind, like this isn't your experience as you scan. That floor plan is here just to simply help you visualize how she's approaching to scanning a house like this. This is a split, obviously, but I think it's super helpful to show like she's scanning as she starts, as she goes up the steps. Remember that you're capturing this the stairwells and all of that space because it gets included in your total calculations. Um, but very great video to give you perspective on like how to do a scan and like the tips and things that you think about as you're, planning to do your first scan, questions that you naturally would have. It's going to answer throughout the course of, these pop-ups and her actions. But uh, I'm going to give the last few minutes here over to your Q&A questions and try to answer anything that you have. And this won't be the last time you see us either. And please, we'll put our contact info in the chat here, and we want you to reach out and ask questions. We want you getting comfortable with this. But I gotta encourage everyone to try a scan of your own home or wherever the space is. Just try it. You'll see how simple this actually is, and that anybody can do it. Um, and you know what? I would even love to offer to do this. And David, I can connect with you after the call on validating how we do it. But if anyone's still present on this call, like does a scan within the first, week of today's webinar, and we can look and see who did it. It's easy to capture. If you do it, we'll put, everybody's name in a raffle, and I'll raffle off, let's say $150 in CubiCasa credits. So I just want to encourage people to download the app and do that first scan. So I'll get the attendee list from today's call and work with David and find and pick a winner based on who does a scan this first week after today's webinar to get some free CubiCasa credits. So cool. Like I